I used to think peace was simple. My land stretched wide and green, rolling toward a silver lake I'd built myself over 20 years ago. Every morning, I'd drink coffee on the porch, watch the mist rise, and thank the earth for being mine. Then one spring morning, I saw survey stakes in the soil, little orange flags poking through my grass like weeds. That was the day the HOA tried to take everything from me. I called the number on the sign they had planted by the road. Cedar Ridge Estates, luxury living, coming soon. Some woman with a crisp voice told me the lots were approved, the land was zoned, and construction would begin in a week. I laughed and said, "That's funny, because that's my land you're talking about." The line went silent for a second, then she said, "Aye, sir, this is part of the HOA development plan. You must be mistaken." Mistaken. That word echoed in my head like thunder. I drove to the county office the next day, paperwork in hand. The original deed, the tax records, the old survey maps. My name was still there, clear as daylight. But something had changed. A new map, dated 6 months ago, marked my property line half a mile south, cutting off the lake and the valley. Someone had redrawn the lines. Someone with power, money, and arrogance. Construction started anyway. Bulldozers tore up my fields, the ones where my father and I used to grow hay and wildflowers. Wooden frames went up like rows of coffins, each house sitting where my crops once swayed in the wind. I tried talking to the contractors. They shrugged and said they were just following plans. The HOA president, a man named Douglas, told me to calm down and that I could join the community once the homes were complete. Join the community, the nerve of that man. I spent weeks trying to fight it legally. Lawyers, meetings, zoning boards, all of them said the same thing. It's complicated. The paperwork had been shifted, forged, moved through bureaucratic cracks. Every door I knocked on closed faster than the last. I even got a letter one morning that said I was trespassing on a Cedar Ridge HOA property and should vacate immediately. I stood there on my porch, holding that letter while watching them pour concrete on my land. But they made one mistake. They didn't know what was buried under that valley. The dam I built 20 years ago, I designed it myself to hold the runoff from the hills, creating the lake. It was strong, silent, and hidden by trees. It fed the soil, kept the crops alive, and, if opened, could flood the lower basin in a matter of hours. I didn't plan revenge at first. I wanted justice. But when I saw the HOA hold their grand opening, champagne glasses in hand, smiling in front of my stolen land, something broke inside me. They had no idea that beneath their perfect little neighborhood, the earth was trembling with pressure and water waiting to burst free. On that night, I walked to the dam under the stars. The air was cold and the sound of frogs and crickets was the only music left. I ran my hands over the old metal crank, rusted but sturdy. I thought about my father, about the promise I made to protect this land. And then I thought about the way Douglas laughed when I begged him to stop the construction. My fingers tightened. I turned the wheel slowly. Metal groaned, like it hadn't been moved in years. Water hissed through the cracks, whispering secrets of revenge. Then it began, a roar that grew louder, echoing through the valley as the floodgate opened. By dawn, Cedar Ridge Estates wasn't a development anymore. It was a lake. The shiny new homes were half submerged, their fancy patios now docks. Bulldozers sat drowned in mud, the once neat lawns now a swamp. People gathered at the edge, yelling, confused, terrified. And there I stood on the hill, coffee in hand, watching it flow. Reporters came. The HOA blamed a natural flooding, though everyone knew it wasn't. They said the dam was old, unsafe, unregistered. But the truth was simple. It had always been on my land. Their stolen deeds couldn't wash that away. The county investigated for weeks, but in the end, no one could prove I'd done it intentionally. I'd simply outperformed maintenance on my property, and a storm did the rest. The HOA went bankrupt. The residents left. The land, scarred and soaked, was mine again. I rebuilt the dam, reinforced it, and let the water settle back into peace. Sometimes when I walk by the shore, I still see pieces of those houses beneath the surface. Shingles, a swing set, even a mailbox half buried in silt. They remind me of what greed can do and what happens when you take from someone who refuses to bow. Now the grass has returned and the lake sparkles again. The frogs are louder, the air sweeter. My land is quiet, the way it was meant to be. And every time the wind ripples across the water, I hear it whisper, "You took it back." So when people ask me if I regret it, I smile. I tell them, no one builds on my land without my say. Then I turn back to the lake and I watch it flow.